Welcome to the Tekitok podcast, where we embark on a journey through the ever-evolving realm of SAP and IT operations, automation, artificial intelligence, and cloud technologies. Whether you're an IT professional, a business leader, or simply curious about emerging technologies and industry insights, our episodes will be your compass in navigating this dynamic landscape with real-world experiences. Join us as we demystify complex concepts, explore innovative trends, and engage in stimulating dialogue with industry experts to empower you with insights that matter. The views expressed by our hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the opinions of their respective companies. The producer of this Tekitok podcast assumes no responsibility for any public content, ideas, or recommendations shared.
All right, so welcome to, this is actually SAP Insider 2024. We're in Vegas. So we're actually happy to be doing this live because we started this actually last year still, where we're still a little bit of a, people not so sure about meeting up. And last year's episode, we went to, actually SAP Insider. Last year we were here, and there was still a bit of reluctance.
Really?
Yes, there was
not
this
year.
Back. Not this year.
Not this year.
So we're fully back, and then so my guest today is Kendall, and I'll let her introduce herself. But she's actually running the SAP Press Book Club, so it's a very interesting topic. We know there's a lot of things going on, new topics, new technology, AI, all that sort of thing. So books are still relevant, I hope,
yes,
right? Very much so.
Oh my gosh, yes, big time.
Okay. So at Tekitok, we're gonna, essentially cover a lot of topics that not just strictly technology, but also fun things. So anyway, at this point, I want to ask you to introduce a little bit yourself.
Well, first I want to say that this is my first time at SAP Insider. I was shocked. So if anybody is wondering what it's like to come here, it's literally back in the day when Sapphire was fun and there are big exhibit, the exhibits hall, everybody's got really cool booths and they're giving things away and there's paper.
Kind of gimmicky.
Gimmicky, and it's, but it makes it a lot more casual and it's not so formal. That what I've seen lately is what's going on at Sapphire. So I was very surprised. And we got backpacks. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was shocked.
It's Vegas, right? We're in a fun place.
Fun place too, definitely.
Okay.
So I am Kendall Tyler, and I am the SAP Press host of the SAP Press Book Club. So I get to interview all the book authors from SAP, which is pretty neat. The reason that I started this is because I wanted to make SAP fun again.
Oh yeah, enjoy SAP. I remember that.
Yes, so I've been in SAP for the last 31 years.
Wow.
Selling.
All right.
Services.
Can we do this? Because I'm 31 year too.
Yeah.
31 year.
Back in the old R2 days, and it was fun. Those first installs were great. We had the best time. I don't know if it was because we were young.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but SAP was really fun, and it was almost like you were an exclusive club. And if you got to go to Sapphire, you were with your club. Those were your, that's your team. Kind of thing. And so, and you didn't talk about other technologies. It was all about SAP.
Right. Right.
So I think that after a while, it got really boring. I hate to say it. It was boring.
I agree.
Nothing was happening. And people were just kind of they're just hanging out, not doing anything. So I was how do you make SAP fun again? And
that's interesting.
Yeah, I was noticing that if you looked around, everybody in SAP was my age. And I'm so what happens in 10 years when we all retire? Does that mean every corporation is not going to be running?
Yeah.
Is that it? So I'm maybe, and then I thought, how did we first learn SAP? I was we learned from books.
Yeah.
We didn't learn from a computer programmer.
Right. I remember.
It's still difficult, to watch and go through that. So, I love a book. I like to look at it, hold it, turn the page down, highlight it, write in it, put it on the shelf and be able to pull it back out, reference it. You can't do that with e-learning.
Right.
I mean, really?
That's why those books are still on my shelf, by the way. Those thick
you keep them. Yeah. So, and then I thought, what if I got to interview people and invite people to come and listen to me interview someone?
Yeah.
And then they could ask questions. And I thought, well, who would I interview? I thought, well, anybody could talk about anything. I mean, I could talk about brain surgery, and you would be like, well, she obviously knows what she's talking about. She's talking about brain surgery. However, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, how do you know if someone's credible? And I thought, well, if they wrote a book, that gives them some cred.
Right.
So I thought, well, that sounds really cool. An SAP like an SAP Book Club. So I was like, it's too simple. I went on LinkedIn, looked. No one had it.
Wow.
I went online, looked, nothing. And I was like, oh my gosh. So the first thing I did was I grabbed LinkedIn. I was like, I got the group. And then I was like, well, I got to find an author. And back then, I did not have SAP Press with me. So I had to find self-publishers, people that had published themselves.
Right.
So I found Ingo. And Ingo is actually speaking here.
Oh, this event.
Yes.
Okay.
He had written all these books on SAP Analytics Cloud. So I said, Ingo, will you be my first book? And he's like,
well, what an honor.
He goes, it won't work, Kendall. It's not going to work. I'm like, yes, it will. He's like, no, it's not going to work. I go, look, I will promote your technical book, which nobody else is doing, by the way. Promote a technical book for a month, and then you give me 1 hour. We'll invite people. I'll ask you questions and let people ask you questions. And that way you become more human. And then people will be like, well, I want to be able to read that book because I saw Ingo. I know who he is. I can relate to what he's saying. Yeah. Kind of thing. Yeah. And he's like, well, it sounds like a good idea, but I don't think it's going to work. 500 people signed up just like that.
Wow.
I was shocked. I was like, wow, we have something going on here. This must be like... Yeah. So then I did that, and I was like, yes, this is working. Then I was like, oh, I gotta get another author. Because, it's like once a month. And I was like, oh, no, I got to find another.
You got to keep that schedule.
Keep it going, right. And so I found a guy out of University of South Carolina, and he was in the University Alliance program. He was a teacher. And he had written a book. And then I was listening to him talk about how kids were not signing up for classes because they all thought that taking Java was great and SAP wasn't. And so
not cool?
Not cool. So his classes were getting dropped.
I see.
And I'm like, what? You're kidding me. He's like, no, we're trying to develop this program, but I can't even get the kids to take the classes in order for the program to continue to develop. So I was like, well, we have to get them. Oh, that's not cool. So I actually got the CIO of 3 of the biggest companies in South Carolina to do a video about how SAP was important to running their company and how kids should take the classes. And so we put together this video of all of them together and everything. And he presented it to a lower class, and sure enough, kids started picking up those classes, and I was like, amazing. Yay.
Well, you know what? Actually, I saw maybe I don't know when it started, but I started seeing college courses teaching SAP, right?
Yeah,
maybe
that's 15 part of
years
it.
Ago, maybe
University Alliance program, yeah.
That's great.
And so then that kind of got me going about the whole book thing, because I'm like, kids aren't learning it. We need to up our game, obviously, since no one else is out there doing this. And how do we make this fun for us?
That's a great start. So now, how many books are now in the club, I guess, officially?
Well,
I'm sure it's a changing number.
Everything didn't happen until Bill McDermott.
Oh.
Yes.
SAP CEO or ex-CEO?
Yes. So he was, he's already at ServiceNow. And so everybody was like, Kendall, what's your next book? And I'm like, Bill McDermott. I'm going to get Bill McDermott. He wrote a book, And everybody's like, you have lost your mind. You are never going to get Bill McDermott. I'm like, yes, I am. I can get him.
Yeah.
And so I actually got Bill McDermott.
Wow.
And
so what year was this roughly?
This was about two
Before
plus.
he joined ServiceNow.
He was in ServiceNow.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He was.
So he wrote the book actually.
No, he wrote his book
before that, right?
But he was at ServiceNow when I interviewed him.
That's probably better because, you know, he can talk about things that he probably could not talk.
Well, that's the funny thing. So I watched all of the interviews that other people had done, and I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to ask him anything about ServiceNow because my audience is SAP.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know,
except if you can say ServiceNow is an SAP customer.
Nah,
you know?
well, it is, but I still didn't want to ask him about that. So I was like, you know, I want to know what happened at Sapphire behind the scenes.
Oh.
You know, I want to know what happened with like the performances. What was his best client visit, or what? You know, I wanted to know like the juicy gossip. I don't want to know. Best parties, best clients.
How do you get invited to the best parties?
Yeah, like how did it happen? You know, so so I figured out. I'll tell you how to do this. This is actually pretty slick. So his book had a ghostwriter. So I contacted the ghostwriter and said, hey, by the way, I want to interview Bill McDermott on this book. And would you be willing to, you know, like contact him? And also, this is how I got it. Also, you might be interested in writing a book about me because I know this is going to sound just so ridiculous. My mother and I are the founders of All-Star Cheerleading.
Oh, wow.
So we created the entire sport. And my uniform is in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
Not kidding. Not kidding. And so if you ever see the girls that cheer for Jim, and they cheer against each other at competitions, and they have the great big bows in their head, well, that's because of me. My mother had bows in my hair, and people copied it.
Wow.
And the whole idea of choreographing and stuff all came from us. And so we thought outside the box. That was our whole, you know, how to do it and how do you push the envelope. And I think that is kind of like how I learned how to like push it. So I told this author that she was a bestseller, whatever. She even wrote the Starbucks guys book. So talked to her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I want to do it." But she wanted money for me. I was like, "I'm not going to pay you money to write my book." And then I was like, "I'm really a Netflix 3-part miniseries if you actually think about it." I've not gotten anybody to write my story yet because I'm still looking for like the perfect person because I don't want them to slant cheerleading how it's been in the recently because it's not all that crazy.
Right.
Sort of. But
little drama, but not that crazy.
Exactly. There's a whole bunch behind it.
But you know what? You do need a little drama to get the audience, though. You know.
There's a lot of drama in it, but it's not as like, you know, that Netflix one went really crazy. I mean, they were like, it was awful. But anywho, so she arranged, she goes, I will have his admin contact you and get everything set up. And I was like, this is a joke. This is not real. Seriously?
I get those all the time. Like I'll have our lawyers contact your lawyers. That type of conversation.
Well,
right?
It was my publicist. It was the publicist, his press agent, his chief of staff, and I literally had to talk to all of them. They wanted to know what I was going to ask. They wanted to know what was happening.
Yeah.
I could have him for 1 hour. Nobody could ask any questions, just me and Bill.
Wow.
So I was like, what am I going to ask him for 1 hour? So I thought about it. So I read the book, and I noticed that he had mentioned a lot of his ex-coworkers from Xerox in the book. So I was like, what if I contacted them?
Oh.
So I contacted all of his ex-coworkers that I mentioned, and I said, hey, I'm doing this thing, and will you attend? You know, come and listen and whatever. And they were like, yes. So I was like, ooh, that's perfect. Because that will be something that no one else has done. That Bill will be like, wow, she actually went to that effort to contact all these people to watch. So you know, I was sitting there and they were like, it's going to be like 2 minutes before and then he's going to pop up. And I was like, okay. I'm like, just sitting there, in your video, you're like watching, and all of a sudden there's Bill, and I was like, hi. Only time I've ever seen him is on stage at Sapphire.
Yeah.
I've
20,000 other people.
Yes, I've never spoken to the man. I've never been near the man. Nothing. And there I am, like face to face, and I have a conversation for an hour. So we talked about his new puppy. We talked about if he still had his sandwich shop, what would he name the sandwiches? We were naming them after his old co-workers, the sandwiches. We talked about everything under the sun. We were laughing, joking around. I had over 2,000 plus people were watching this live.
So we can find this on YouTube now, right?
No, you can't. No. So
Only press.
His people said, his press people said, that was the best interview we've ever seen him do. However, you got so much personal information out of him. We cannot let you put on the internet.
Snippets.
I was like, man, I must have been really good if I did that. So after that, SAP Press called me and was like, we like what you're doing. Will you do that for us? And I'm like, what? Do what for you? And they were like, the deal is we'll let you be the only person that can interview our book authors. We'll set it up, and you do your promo of how you promote the books. By the way, the promo that I do for books is nobody wants to read a technical book, right?
Yeah.
So I read to animals. So I have read to every neighbor's dog. I've read to horses, donkeys, goats, pythons, rabbits, lizards.
Well, there's a Python programming language, so
Oh, the Seuss guys are going to send me a giant Seuss stuffed animal so I can read to the Seuss guy. Which is
a
funny.
hamster? Any hamster?
I have not done a hamster. That would be
what?
funny.
That's
a bird. I have not done a bird either because I'm kind of worried that bird. But goats are really good because they're very interactive with you and they've got a lot of facial expression. So I've had pictures of me reading to a goat. 20,000 plus people hit that. And it's like shared all over globally. And I'm like, this is crazy.
This
People
is
really like me reading to a goat. So I have over 18,000 followers.
So must be when you do that, right? You're getting the young people to actually.
That's what I'm hoping.
Right? So that's kind of like, hey, this is cool. I like animals.
Right. And, I will go to like the Goodwill and get a prom dress. And I will dress up in a prom dress and sit and read a book to chickens.
Or you could do some cheerleading stuff too.
I have done that too.
There you go.
I have put cheerleading in there. And it's really funny because it's not a canned picture. So people are like, what is she doing? Oh my gosh, and it's always unexpected. I do funny things. And so that makes it, I think that catches people's attention. And if you catch someone's attention, then they will actually look at what you're talking about. And what I'm talking about is learning. I'm trying to get them to learn about SAP and like it and think it's cool. Just like it used to be. So then my sessions with SAP Press have 2,000, 3,000 people attend the meetings. SAP Press sends, it's global. And countries I've never heard of. I'm like, I've never heard of these countries. And most of the people I interview are from Germany. And they're the product guys. And they are the guys that nobody gets to ever see. Because I've asked half of them, have you ever been to interview? And they're like,
I'm in the corner program.
Yes. They're like, nobody talks to me.
Have you heard of YouTube?
And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. They're very dry. Nobody speaks. Nobody says anything. But I am the kind of person who likes to ask the obvious. I'm the one who raises my hand first and says, hey, I have a question. And everybody in the room's like, no one will ask a question, but I will. Or I ask the question everybody wants to know, but it's too scared. Because they'll think, I look like an idiot if I ask that question. The fun thing is that because these are not sales guys that I'm interviewing, they'll answer me.
Well,
Which
it's
is
also a
better.
good icebreaker, right? I guess you're talking a little bit lighter topic than they normally.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And I'll be like, so what's RISE? Or I'll be like, what is BTP? I literally straight up not in.
I find that
Yeah.
first of all, that asking those basic questions, especially when we do things like this podcast, right?
Yes.
We kind of assume everybody has the same level of knowledge. We start with the really basic things and then kind of draw them in a little bit more interesting. Oh, what do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
So we always start thinking, well, this topic's too simple. Like when we did the RISE,
Right.
kind of like, is it too simple to ask what it is,
Yes,
right? But
exactly.
in fact, how many answers that are different that you get back, right?
A gazillion.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
people don't know. They keep changing. All right, sorry about this, guys, but SAP keeps changing what it is. They keep changing the names. They're renaming stuff.
Right.
That's the same stuff.
It's a great marketing team, though.
It is a marketing team. They've acronymed everything to death. And it's very confusing. You try to ask, like, what is this? And, everybody has a different answer. So I think that when the guys that I interview answer, it's the right answer because they wrote it.
Right.
And so you're actually getting information from the guys who wrote the code. And the books are like this thick.
Yeah.
Every book.
Yeah.
Huge, big, thick, usually written by multiple people. Never one person.
Right.
It's always
a lot
like
of
a
contributors.
team, a lot of contributors. They usually do, one guy will take one chapter, another guy will take
So
another
have
chapter.
you sat down with like the entire team at the time and interview? Okay, wow.
Yeah.
What's the biggest group that you've had in one of these interviews?
Gosh, we try to limit it to at least less than 4 because some of them are 6, 7, and I'm like, I'm not going to interview all these people.
I'm going to dissect the book.
Yeah, let's just do the first part. So that's, I know. And so the interesting thing is that once they write one of the books, they're responsible for keeping it updated.
I see. And this, how often is that? Maybe every couple of editions?
I don't know what they're...
It's not, okay.
I think it's when something new happens enough where they need to update the book, then that group will get together and update the book.
Right.
So, I've had, they're like, well, that was an old book and this is the new one coming out or whatever. And so I have, all these people. It's really funny though, because since I've been doing this, SAP Press they'll take one question I ask. And then they will post that one question all over the internet. Yeah, because it'll be snippets of me.
Yes, yes.
And literally so I work for Cognizant.
Yeah.
And I am the partner manager for SAP.
Yeah, that one we're going to get to your real daytime job.
My real daytime job.
Works for Cognizant as partner manager.
I work for Cognizant. That's my real job. I actually get paid nothing from SAP Press. This is all volunteer. I do this because I really want people to like SAP again. And I want it to be, something that's,
You're giving them a little
giving
podium
people back something.
Right.
Yeah. And, the thing is that people, they love books. People love books. And so it's become very popular. The book club, 18,000 people are following me. And, SAP Press is sending it out to 40,000 people, and so I'll go to Sapphire. I get stopped. You're the SAP Press lady. And they want pictures of me. Literally today, I was stopped and had a selfie with a fan.
So thank you for giving us this time.
I
That's
know.
really important to get you early in the conference, right?
It's so funny because, they're like, what's your next animal? I'm like, I don't know.
People try to push animal, not
books.
books.
They're trying to push the animals. They love the animals.
Bring the book then.
Love the animals. And so, I think this is kind of my way of kind of giving back and trying to be like my mom and I back in the day, we were thinking outside the box.
Right.
And trying to think of how do you bring this different and make it different.
So we had a little question that was relating to, books are getting a little bit on the somewhat competitive side now. To people just want to be told the story, not read the story, or maybe go to the back of the book and read back and just getting what's the ending like, right? So I feel like we're in the age where AI is kind of be like, well, why do I need to read book? It's read 1,000 books. It's going to tell me the short story of it, right? So what do you see like especially in the book club, when you're trying to have a little bit more time, spend traditional time reading a book, and sharing ideas and talking about the book, right? All that kind of like, do you see some of that stuff already shifting in terms of focus?
So here's my theory on that. So AI really is grabbing information off the database, out of the internet.
Right.
But it's mainly marketing collateral. It's not the real deal.
Right.
It's grabbing that information. So, and it's various, like we said, everybody has a different theory on what something is. So it's all slanted every which way. But I'm getting the information directly from the people, author, who write the actual stuff. So that's literally, I'm like
first hand,
yeah. And I don't think that it's I don't think that AI can compete with that.
Yeah, well, I hope not, because there's also that question about it learning, but these content obviously protected, right? Copyright and all everything. So, we hope that kind of still stay the same kind of protection, because obviously author put a lot of heart and passion into writing something, and so
even if there's e-bytes, you can't put it on the internet. You can't. I think you can download it for yourself, but that's it. And
quote and reference. So one of the other things we ask is what's the hottest topic you've seen come in lately? Like, I'm sure that authors now like me first. My book's on the waiting list. When can I do mine?
So yes. So we we look at books that can a broader audience, not too specific.
Right.
And so something that will catch a lot of people's attention. And we also look for things that are the newest that's coming out. And then after a while, I'll start being like, look, we have not done this topic. And then we'll put those books in.
Okay. So give me some of the hot words coming off the press, if you will.
Of which ones
some of these hot topics that are coming along.
Well, I actually have my latest book is in my bag.
Hey, do you want to grab one? We'll feature.
I know.
Yeah.
This is the next book.
We want to know what's hot, right? Because you got to come to the source to understand what's hot. Because the hardest thing actually for people with limited time who wants to actually get into a book is...
This is the book.
Migrating to S4HANA. Okay.
Yep.
The topic right there.
Yes. And as you can see, this was written by...
a bunch of people.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Yeah. So
I apologize, but I don't think I can pronounce all their names.
No, they're mostly German. Okay. Frank. Frank is one. I know Frank. So it's, these are literally like, technical books that are very difficult, but some of them I find are much easier to read than others, and it's mainly because the way they write.
Yeah.
And some of them are like, what in the world? Like, I just cannot grasp that. One of the hardest ones was Abba.
I can understand that's a hot book right now, but So what's the number 2 then, I guess, after the migrating? Everybody wants to migrate to S4HANA, of course.
This is the next one for next month. I'm doing that one. And then I think I'm doing
So have you chosen the animal for this one?
I have not chosen my animal for this one.
We gave you some ideas,
I
right?
am open right now.
We got some hamsters.
Animal thoughts. Hamsters. I need to go. Wouldn't it be funny if I actually went to a pet store and sat there and read to all those hamsters?
That's not such an outlandish idea. I think it's a great idea. Barnes and Nobles, they're kind of coming back a little bit, and Amazon is starting to bring back the physical bookstore. So if you pick one of those, because the reason I said hamster.
Who wants a monkey? I have to figure out how I'm going to find a monkey there.
Yeah, monkey. But the reason I say hamster is going to SAP S4HANA. It's kind of like putting something in the hamster wheel to keep making it work, right?
Sort of, yeah.
So I'm just plugging.
I could make the little hamster sit on top of the book while I'm reading. He could be up here.
Magic furry animal. So after this one, you have another one?
I have 2 more already scheduled for me.
So once a month, right?
Yeah, they like to get me once a month. And so, I try to get as many people as possible. A lot of times I'll look at like what a topic is, and then I send out personal invites to a lot of people based on what their skill sets are and what the topic of the book is, because I know
So do you normally fly there, or they come to some place for?
No, we do this all virtual.
Wow.
It's all virtual, and all the videos, there's 16 videos online through SAP Press.
Okay.
The 3 before are not. That's the Bill McDermott and the other ones.
Right.
They're not.
No.
But all the
other
other
ones
ones
on that legal side of that.
Yeah, I'll never get that one. And so, but I've done everything under the sun. Like I've done BTP, I've done costing, CO. I've done ABAP, which was was very hard.
Right.
However, if you'll ever get that book, he writes about Frankenstein in there. It's very strange. Yeah.
All right, we got to find a chapter.
Yeah, that's a really interesting book.
It's kind of a hidden.
That was a really interesting interview too. And then
you mentioned Signavio.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Big hot word.
Hot word of the day, Signavio. So, my company, Cognizant, they're very into Signavio.
Right.
And so I was like, it'd be great if I put Signavio in the book rotation, but there were no books. No one had written a book about Signavio.
So new.
Right. And so 2 guys actually were finishing an e-bite. And usually e-bites don't get into the SAP Press Book Club because an e-bite is like literally like 1 or 2 chapters really, and it's
a teaser, right?
It is like a teaser, and it's something that you would download. It's not a physical book. So I said, please let me do it. Come on, SAP Press, and they were like, okay. So Nitin Singh and Jerry McCool both work at SAP, and they wrote this Signavio e-bite. And so I really didn't understand what Signavio was. Everybody's talking about it, but I was like, okay, buzzword. So I downloaded the e-bite and I read it on the plane to Sapphire.
I see.
When I got off the plane at Sapphire, I was like, oh my God, does anybody know what this is? Oh my, it's not what we thought it was. I was like, wow, this is a game changer. And if people are like, what are you talking about, Kendall? I'm like, oh my gosh. So when I interviewed Jerry and Nitin, all of us were, and this was 9 months ago. I can't believe this. Right. So it was,
June,
to us, it was.
You thought about like Sapphire 2023, right?
Last year.
Okay.
And so it was all new, and we were all still kind of like learning this, and so I interviewed them, and that went great. They were funny, and hit it off, and then I thought, I want to know more about Signavio. So I went through all the training. I got certified.
Oh, you got hooked.
I got certified in it. Oh yes, I did the online training. Did everything, and then I'm like, okay, I know what this is. And I was able to and then me, outside the box, figure out ways of using Signavio that Signavio had not thought of.
Oh, wow. There you go.
And then go back to Signavio, like the guy who runs all of Signavio sales, and say, hey, this is the idea I came up with. And he's like, I cannot believe you came up with that idea. That's amazing. That's perfect. I'm like, yes,
all right, so is your name going to get credited somewhere, though?
No.
Oh
my gosh. So last week, Nitin and Jerry won the Hasso-Plattner Award.
Oh, okay.
And they wrote a paper on Signavio and how to do transformations, which was something that we'd been talking about back and forth for the last 9 months. Yeah. And then they won this. They won the Hasso-Plattner, which is huge in SAP world. That's like you are.
Yeah, like the Nobel.
It is the Nobel Prize, and they said they're getting a trophy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, a trophy. So I was approached by SAP Insider, and they said, will you do the book club live here? And I'm like, well, I've never done the book club live. And then I was like, but that sounds fun. And I was like, I know who I want. I want Nitin and Jerry. And so, of course, we had to get approval from SAP to allow them to leave their jobs or whatever and come here and sit with me and talk about their, Signavio. And so they created a session for me.
How exciting.
Is that not funny?
Yeah.
So I'm not against any of the other sessions. It's just me. So it's going to be in Theater 1, and it's tomorrow.
All right.
And so Nitin and Jerry are flying in. And
are they going to stream this one? I think they do.
No,
right?
I don't think so.
I thought all the recordings of all the sessions.
I don't know. We need to see.
Okay, so you need us to show up and do a special. Yeah, so because you dropped the hot word, so at Tekitok, we was looking for the next topic and guests to invite for the and you dropped the Signavio because everybody's heard of it. What is it? Everybody has a different idea what it is, and so it's probably time to do an actual episode on that. And you're doing that. So what time is it tomorrow?
It is tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And it's for 50 minutes, which is like the longest one.
We'll charge our batteries.
It's longer than any of the sessions.
At lunch, right?
The sessions are 40 minutes. Lunch is like an hour and a half or something.
Okay. So, good.
So anyway, they're flying in, and I told them to bring their trophy if they got it.
Wow.
So they're supposed to have the trophies. We'll see.
You get the champagne they can drink out of it.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, we're so taking pictures with that trophy because you guys would I got their e-bite in the top 10.
Okay.
Which no e-bites gets in the top 10 list at SAP Press. And I even have my own book club discount code.
But there's no, like you said, there's no full book yet, right? Okay, so.
No.
All right.
But I do have a book discount code.
If there is one question you need to ask them is when is the full book coming out?
Oh, believe me, I ask them every time I see them is where's the full book.
I'll vote one up for that.
But if you want to purchase the e-bite, it's Book Club 15, and you can get 15% off.
Oh, there's a plug right there.
There you go.
Okay.
And so that's tomorrow.
Super interesting, Kendall. I think.
Isn't that neat?
So how many books are in this club now that you're talking about already? You've done so many.
There's 16, I think, online, and then 17, 18, 19 are scheduled.
Okay.
So the
and all these interviews can be watched.
You can go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Go to SAP Press, and then they have a set down like it's categorized and says Book Club.
Okay.
SAP Press Book Club, and then you can actually view all of the videos there, and they're not cut. They are literally end to end, which I think is hilarious because I'm like, I would be cutting stuff out.
No beeps, no bleeps.
No bleeps, no nothing.
Okay,
and it's me saying, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all the animals too, right? The animals make funny sound, right?
Oh my gosh. I think some of my videos, I have my dogs walking
So
in.
tomorrow, is there an animal planned?
The Seuss guys want me to bring their lizard.
Okay. Well, this is Vegas. You can get anything in Vegas. You can
Would that be funny?
You just call up the local yellow page and say, I want a circus animal.
I need an animal.
There you go. Which needs an animal for tomorrow's session with Signavio.
He's not paying attention.
So I have one more question. It's kind of interesting. We were talking about this passion stuff we do projects. Kind of like Tekitok. I'm doing this podcast, but my daytime job is something else, right? And then you wonder, like, now I go back to my regular job. So how do you balance, like, how do I focus on this thing?
My regular job was not, I did not come up with it. SAP actually told me, they were like, you would be a great partner manager. And I'm like, what's a partner manager? I literally was like, I have no idea. So, but SAP was like, you would. And so they're the ones who actually told me that I should be doing that. And then SAP called all the partners, and I found out that I was hot commodity because of the book club.
Whoa.
I interviewed all the partners.
Wow.
And I picked Cognizant as the one because they had not really been seen from SAP in a while. And I thought, they need me more than anybody else does. Yeah. And so because of the book club and because of everything, I have a lot of like connections within the industry. So my day job is mainly thinking of how I can help Cognizant, push the envelope, how to introduce Cognizant to SAP to partner on a lot of the different projects together. And I get pulled into a lot of customer calls.
You're at the face now,
because of Signavio. Because of the Signavio thing, I will be pulled into customer calls on Signavio. And like there's a this whole idea that I have, and we're calling it the Cognizant MBA, which is this this is my brainstorm idea of the ECC dormant accounts. How do you get them to do something? You know, I mean, I love an ECC dormant account. They're the best. You know, it's like 5 guys.
This is talk with passion. I love
They're sitting around. They're like, I've been here for 30 years, getting ready to retire. Nobody's complaining. We're good, you know?
We're not upgrading.
Not doing nothing. They can do whatever they want after I leave. You know, those are the guys that, you know, I'm like, look, I was there with you when you first installed. So I'm kind of like, want to be like, hey, let's do it one more time before you go. Let's do it with bang, you know? And
the next upgrade will be done all by AI. So
no. I was laughing because I'm like, we're gonna have avatars of ourselves, and so we'll be like walking, like instead of like us doing virtual like this, it'll be us like walking through like Habu Hotel. Remember that? And you walk through a little thing and go to the conference room and your avatar sits down.
There was a reason why I did the knuckle thing with you, because I want to make sure that this is actually a real thing and not a virtual.
Oh yeah,
right? Because we've been doing virtual for a while with all the episodes, but you know the virtual one. This is much better.
Here.
This is much better. So I really appreciate. Look, it's a happy marriage between Cognizant, your daytime job, and then the book club. You know, it's passion project. I appreciate passion project. They're always interesting. You always come back to them. And you never know where they take you, right? It's like a wide open opportunity, networking, and all the surprises that.
I think sometimes I kind of amaze Cognizant because they're always like, "What is she doing now?" You know.
So you wrote your own job description,
yes, I wrote my own job description.
Wow,
there was nobody in my spot when I got there, and I said,
"Congratulations! That's a great thing to do."
Yeah, my boss, his name is Manfred. He's German, and you know, he's been around forever. I mean, you know, came over from SAP Germany, and you know, he was like number 500 and something employee rank, and he knows everybody. So he was like, you know, I like the fact that you are one of those people who loves SAP. There's very few people that literally have like that passion where they're like, you know,
you sure you didn't come up with that enjoy SAP slogan?
I should have. I'm telling you, we could have done a whole cheer on that. I'm waiting for a routine. We'll have the SAP cheerleaders.
Okay, you do that at Sapphire again.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Center stage.
Oh my gosh.
Thursday evening.
That would be so funny.
Before, so you know, they always have the first act and then the main act. So Thursday evening, Sapphire. GVD.
We should have the cheerleader. Definitely. But the what's I talking about? I have no idea. You got me off guard. What were we talking about?
I was talking about your job description.
My job description, yes. So I literally just kind of like made it up because I used to be sales. So as a partner manager, I'm like,
same thing.
First thing I did was I got in the database because I want like, where are they? What customers are they at? What are they doing? You know, and then I'm like, where are they not? You know, maybe they're, and Cognizant's huge. It is global. It's 22,000 SAP consultants and it's a GSSP partner. So I'm only in charge of the US and Canada. I keep saying that, but I don't do it.
North America.
But you know, they have offices all over the place. So, you know, I can handle my US pretty good. You know, and so we've reorged and reshuffled, realigned, and refocused on what we're kind of doing. And now our goal is to get to be, you know, one of the top 5, and I seriously think that
I'll look it up for partnership. You know, I'm always into partnerships. So I appreciate your time. I think this is great. If you are going to come back to our podcast, because we do plug a lot of these different people that typically don't fit into traditional, just like I'm going to talk tech, and you know, so it's kind of keep it a little bit fun, and so we always want to have additional topics.
If you want to talk Signavio, you let me know.
Yes,
I can talk your ear off about Signavio.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That's a wrap. Thank you. All right. Have fun in Vegas.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.